Wow. I get to watch that every night. Welcome back to America, everybody. Thanks for coming in and watching the show tonight. I have some bad news, though. Millie Michaels couldn't make it tonight, which is very upsetting. But we got really lucky. My crack research team was able to get someone really special for me to talk to and to do the news with tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Queen Elizabeth II. Wow.
Hello.
Queen Elizabeth, thank you for coming on. It's a really big deal to have the Queen of England on my show. It's a big deal. I mean, I've had presidents. I've had dead presidents. I had Donald Trump call in the first week.
Wow.
You know, so having the Queen here, I know you don't like him, so yeah. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, you're welcome, Dan.
Are you drinking a martini?
Yes, it's a gin martini.
Oh, gin martini. You have like 4 or 5 a day, right? You drink a lot.
Yes, I do. I enjoy my drinks. You know, drink well and drink often.
that sounds very queenly. That sounds very
I
queenly.
have a bumper sticker like that.
Tonight's show is British themed. This is because I lived out in England for a while. I have some very close British friends, so I just wanted to give a shout out to England in this episode. But we have some BBC News coming up. So what's happening in the BBC News,
Yes,
Queen?
well-
Can I call you Queenie?
Majesty.
Majesty, I'll call you Majesty. Your Majesty.
I like to give a shout out to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, you know her, and because they flat left the royal family and went to Santa Barbara and bought a little cheap cottage for about $11 million, and they're gonna live there with little baby Archie and go to Burger King and things like that.
$11 million.
Yes, and it only has 16 bathrooms. So good luck with that.
You sound jealous, Queen
Yeah,
Elizabeth. I don't know. You want to probably
I
live
have
in...
48 bathrooms. I'm not jealous.
Well, what else is going on? Enough with the royal family. We know enough about.
On the outskirts of London, over in Trubador Beach, there was beachgoers became a human chain because there was a struggling swimmer out in choppy waters.
Oh.
And they couldn't get him back.
Wow.
Yeah, so 20 of them heroically went and got the man, and everybody was safe and happy, and they had a little Barbie.
So 20 people made like a chain link to help a guy. Wow, that's real. That's kind of amazing. I thought
Yes.
I sort of saw the ending of that story like they all didn't make it, like they tried to save this one guy, and all 21 of them got wiped out. I'm glad that wasn't the ending.
Well, maybe next week, Mr. DB.
Maybe next week, Your Majesty. Your Majesty. What else do we have in the news? What
Well,
else?
you know, singer Taylor Swiftly, she donated £23,000 to a young lady who could not afford a math course at the University of Warwick. She put it online. She was getting funds, and Miss Swiftly, she has so much, extra cash.
Wow, that's amazing that she would do something like that. That's very kind of her. She could literally give away $25,000 a day for the rest of her life, probably.
Hello.
And it wouldn't even make a dent in her lifestyle.
No, and when she came to my house, or my palace.
Right, of course.
She didn't even bring me like whiskey or some tea biscuits or nothing.
She's young.
Very
She's
cheap.
just young. She doesn't
Cheap,
know
cheap,
that.
cheap.
She doesn't know that that we're supposed to be gracious.
Well,
What else is
I'm glad
happening?
she helped her. Well, Amazon sacked a delivery driver, got rid of him because a neighbor caught him pooing in the garden.
Oh my God, that is so
Yes.
British.
She was devastated. She said, "Stop
Horrifying.
that, stop!" And he just smiled and grunted, and he.
Well, how are you going to ask someone to stop in the middle of it?
Well,
Stop
you
doing
say,
that.
Stop pooing. You say it.
Sorry, you're right.
They
No
call-
one's going to stop doing that
No, and
if they're caught doing it. They're just going to
Yes.
finish. You're already caught.
Yes.
Stopping doing it's going to make everything a
Well,
lot
they
more
stopped him
difficult.
anyway, and they made him wash his hands. And
Oh, and
go
he got
finish it.
sacked.
Yeah,
He got sacked. He got sacked. That's
He's
how you
gone.
fire the English people. They get sacked.
Yes.
What else do we have going on
Well,
out there?
happy times at Buckingham Palace. It's a free-for-all in my 48 acres of garden.
Now you're bragging.
Well, you can, while we're away on holiday, I'm letting you go ahead and romp around and enjoy my garden.
Oh.
Yes, but I just want to say one thing. If you need to poo, use the loo. We have a lot of lavatories all around.
All right. What do we have anything else going on out there? Do you have any?
Well,
anything
the
else?
other thing that I wanted to speak about are the places in London. People who are visiting.
Oh yeah, I always noticed. Yeah.
They can't read the place names.
Yeah,
you
the
know?
words are weird. Yeah.
Well, you
that's
know, 80% of all English is technically not English. It's German words, French words, and Zulu.
We've stolen everything as Americans. Everything that we have, we had. I mean, that was the only way to take it. That's how you become. You got to take it.
Yeah,
You gotta take it.
You gotta take it.
Right, you gotta take
but
it.
don't be scared if you can't pronounce it. Let's go to the words. Let's see if Mr. DB can say.
That
Go
one
ahead.
looks like
Yeah.
Saint Osith. Saint Osith. It sounds like Mike Tyson saying, "Oh, you know." That, Come
Yeah.
on, that's the first thing everybody's thought. Saint Osith.
Isn't that beautiful? I
It's
love
hilarious.
that word. The next word, please.
What's the
The
next
next
word?
one is what? Which one is that? Tell me that one. Don't look at the browser.
Leia, Lee.
But it's lie. I live in lie.
Oh.
I lie and lie and lie and lie.
Oh, wow, that sounds, wow, okay.
Yeah, it's very
Sounds like a
nice.
foreshadowing. Any other words?
One more.
That's a big one.
This is a crazy one.
That looks like Trottis Cliffy.
No.
Trottis Cliffy.
Oh,
Trottis Cliffy.
Oh, but they say Trosley. I think that's Zulu.
That's, they have some strange words out there, but they come from all over the world, so you know what? I'm getting actually, on my phone, I'm getting a message. It's coming in from a news source over here. Just gonna see what this says
I
here.
brought some whiskey.
What is this?
I brought us whiskey.
There's a message here.
Oh.
Sure, Portia.
Greetings,
The Queen.
Greetings.
But you're the Queen.
Quebec,
I did not leave
Strong
that message.
Island, and the United States of America. This is your Queen, Elizabeth Regina,
Regina.
Mistress of Windsor, Buckingham Palace, and Kensington, Empress of all the Commonwealth, all the lands, 4/5 of the world's bodies of water. It has come to our attention, a woman, a doppelganger, is claiming to be
That means two.
our royal person. Nothing could be further from the truth. The scurrilous American way of substituting quote unquote reality for reality has finally reached a breakwater. This aggression will not stand. I will fight you on the rooftops. I will fight you on the beaches. I will fight you in the streets.
She's plagiarizing that.
Your queen is not your queen. You have movie queens. You have
He's right.
music queens. You have pop starlets. You have your Britney Spears.
She's not
but
wrong.
you do not have crowned
not wrong.
heads.
Is this a rap?
You denied all of that. You denied our person. You denied royalty in the incident we do not mention, the time we do not care for, the war that should never have been. You have strayed from our bosom, our imperial bosom, the warmth of Britannia. You do not have a queen. This motion is rejected. Furthermore, I have spoken to my Prime Minister, and motions are being taken to abnegate your independence and return you to your proper colonial status.
What?
All because of you.
Furthermore, in closing, Debe, Strong Island is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Royal Sussex brand and shall be returned to my grandchild, his H.R.H. Harry. I leave you now, your Queen, Elizabeth Regina. Good evening.
He didn't even mention Prince Jasmine.
That's all your fault. You're not the queen.
You're
Millie.
I am not.
Millie, why would you do that?
I'm
Why
not
would you try to fool me into thinking you were the queen?
I am the queen. I'm
Do I get to keep this tiara?
queen. You do. That's your tiara.
All right. Well, we have a lot of show coming up for you. We have one of my favorite people in the world, Elliot James. He's an actor. He's a writer. He's a comedian. He's out of England, grew up in London, grew up outside of London, travels all of Europe as an actor, teaching theater. I actually met him at UCLA. We worked together for many years at UCLA, teaching and mentoring and tutoring students, thousands of students from around the world. You know, around the world.
I do.
And he also has a book coming out. He's going to talk about a book he wrote about Noel Coward. He's a big fan of Noel Coward. We also have Melinda Hughes, who's also another one of my favorite people in the world, and she just happens to be British too. We wrote together for the National Lampoon for a little while. She is a Melania Trump impersonator. She does a one-woman show where she tours with Melania Trump. She's a Weimar scholar, which is like German stuff that I don't understand at all. And she's a very funny woman, a cabaret singer, opera singer. Melinda Hughes. We talked for 2 sessions. So, yeah, thanks for coming out to Welcome Back to America. And stay tuned. We've got a lot in store for you.
Stay happy.
Millie, you can't lie.
I live and lie.
You can't lie.
I live there.
You should not lie, Millie.
I don't lie. I drink.
I'm talking to our producer about this.
Bye-bye, Mr. I don't give a frick.
Hey, welcome back to America. This is DB Frick. I am here today with one of the funniest people I know around. He's coming in from London today, a little town, Kensingshire, something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it. He's an actor. He's a writer. He's a comedian. Met him at UCLA, worked together many years at UCLA. Know him very well. I consider him a lifelong friend. Elliot James, thanks for coming on the show.
Hello, sir. Nice to see you again.
Yeah,
nice
you look great. I like the apartment. It looks really nice back there. That's a real background, as just so the audience knows.
It's a real background.
You are really in London. What's the name of the town you're in again?
Kentish Town, near Camden Town. It's North London, basically.
Yes, I lived in North London back in 1998, but I remember so little of it, and definitely geography. Americans are terrible at geography. You know that.
I couldn't possibly comment. I think I've always thought it's possible we passed each other in the street in 1998, but now we'll never know.
I do believe that. I do believe that's possible. There was someone that worked at UCLA that I worked with at Cambridge. I not worked with at UCLA, but I saw at UCLA at Starbucks, and I remember seeing him, and then years later, I'm working with him at Cambridge, and I'm like, I saw you at Starbucks 7 years ago. Yes, were you there? And he's like, yeah, I was there, probably waiting for students.
And you ordered a cappuccino, and no, didn't go.
Yes, with Al Pacino. So, you're an actor. You've been an actor your whole life. You've always been a performer. You've never really been.
Yes. I haven't been able to get out, so I've had to. Yeah, so.
Right, but nobody's getting out. You're not the only one not getting out. You're not alone. But I wanted to ask you when your first time on stage was. When was the first time you got?
Well, technically, I suppose, non-professionally, it was at the age of 3 at nursery school, which I think Americans called kindergarten or something.
We have nursery school and kindergarten. We do both.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. And I had a big beard, and I must have been a shepherd or something. But really, it was when I was studying theatre, and I did the Cherry Orchard. It was all very serious, and I played Uncle Gayev in the Cherry Orchard. I was 17, playing a 56-year-old with dementia, but I think I got away with it.
Wow, everything's come full circle now. You're almost 56. You practically have dementia. That's great.
Yeah. But
When
I
was the
remember
last-
I got laughs, so I thought then I became addicted because
So you became addicted to laughs at 17 when you first did that show, the Cherry Grove.
people think
Cherry Orchard. The Cherry Orchard.
People think Chekhov is serious, but it's full of laughs. It's full of
No,
laughs.
Chekhov does a lot of comedy. He does a lot of word comedy. Actually, surprisingly, even though he's Russian, there's a lot of play. He plays with language, comedically, actually, somewhat often. Surprisingly, when was the last time you were on stage?
Oh, the last time. Oh my goodness. Well, 2017, I toured around Switzerland teaching Shakespeare. So we'd go in little theatres and do scenes from Macbeth or Othello. So we did that. In a full production, it was probably on the London Fringe doing Still Life, which is the Noel Coward play. There was a film of it called Brief Encounter, which people know was the play of that. And that was just playing a very, very repressed, awkward British man from the 1930s, which came very naturally.
Again,
So,
coming full circle. Yeah,
Yeah.
the characters
Not
are
the
always
last time, yeah, because even I know it's normal in places like LA, but even in the UK now, there's just before coronavirus, there's less and less theatre. So, you know.
You've done a couple of films recently, though. I saw some pictures of some great pictures of a couple of films you've done in the last year or so.
Back in November, I shot a film in Ireland, a science fiction comedy where I traveled through. So I go through some sort of portal to another dimension, see a very successful version of myself. I'm like a failure. There's a huge success. I throw them back to my world, and I stay in their world. And it all gets messed up, you know. And what was great about that was I did nothing. You spend all this time with your agent, trying to get work, and tweeting and social media, and trying to remember who your contacts are. They just found my show reel, thought it was funny, asked me to do a couple of self-tapes, said, "We want you in this movie." Oh my goodness, you know.
And you got to go to Ireland.
And they flew me to Ireland, and I stayed in some lovely hotels. And that's a big lesson. It's so much is out of our hands as actors. You can, you know, try and get work, but in the end, it's sort of going to be luck.
Is there anything what have you loved about quarantine? You're someone who, like me, I believe is somewhat built for this, built to be able to get through something like this. And
Well, yes and no. But what have I loved about it? Well, when it started, I've spent the whole life since I graduated drama school almost 20 years ago now, worrying about the next acting job, the next audition, casting. What am I going to do? What next 3 months, 6 months? This hits. Every job's cancelled overnight. And I just felt like a weight lift. Like, I don't have to worry about the next audition because there are no auditions. And I thought, for the first time in 20 years, I can just be kind of like in a Buddhist place of calm. Can't do anything about it. That's it. So I guess that's a positive in a twisted way.
yeah, no, there's definitely less stress.
Yeah.
If you know you can't get something, then you're going to think about it less. And if nobody else can have it either, because part of the chase is about getting more than the next person. And if there's nothing there, then it's like, oh.
So one wants to get back to it in the future, but let's just turn the negative into a positive and enjoy not worrying about the stress the industry puts on us for for a while. Let's just
I would
enjoy
think that there would be so much outdoor theater in England right now. I would think that there would be a lot of parks, like they would have shows in Hyde Park and stuff.
I think that's still banned even to do that. Today they just opened the pubs and cinemas, but there are no theatres, and everyone's saying, well, a pub where people are going to get drunk and fall over each other. But
that's okay.
Yeah, and I guess it's because actors spit on the audience in the theatre, but then if you don't sit people in the front rows, but some of the older actors like Donald Sinden used to be able to spit and hit the people in the galleries for stuff. That was behaviour.
It's one of the things that I've hated about acting. I've
Yeah.
always hated that about acting on the stage is being spat upon.
It depends. I mean, it depends. If you're watching an actor you admire and they spit on you, it's like, oh,
Oh, now their DNA is part of you. Yeah,
I'll
yeah, no, that I
try
get.
again. Yeah, fantastic. I don't know. It's a bit weird, but the arts are always on the bottom of the list for the governments in this country. The government's concern. I don't know about the States. You know, if they have to cut funding, it's always the arts funding that goes first.
Where can people go online to see you, to hear about you, to look at you, if they want to stare at pictures of you? If they want to
Well,
see
right now, the best thing probably I don't know if I've ever told you this, Dan, but I have a book coming out in November on Noel Coward. Do Americans know Noel Coward? Yeah.
Of course I know who Noel Coward is. There's a big statue of him in Broadway.
Oh,
Yeah.
is there? Oh, wow. Yeah, so I've written a book, and the estate's been very supportive. I thought, they're not going to let me write this book. They're not going to let me use his plays and quotes. Oh, they've let me do it. So now I'm in. Now I can't get out. So now I'm frantically trying to make sure this book is publishable. It's due out the end of October. So I built a website called elliotjames.net.
Okay.
And on there you can see info about the book, my acting show reel, you know, where I'm going to appear next, nowhere at the moment. So that's probably the best place if anyone's interested. But this book would make a fantastic Christmas present, especially for older people, because it's full of all those stars of yesteryear. There's a lot of Broadway stuff in there. It's really about him and the Actors' Orphanage. It's a biography of him and the one side of his life that no one knows about. He was the president of the Actors' Orphanage, which was for the children of actors who couldn't afford to have children. That, you know, got pregnant on tour. What are they going to do with this kid? They go to the Actors' Orphanage. And Coward raised the money to keep it going. And in the war, they evacuated the whole orphanage to the Bronx for the whole 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's kind of, everyone's forgotten about it, but it's fascinating. And people like Charlie Chaplin would show up and screen The Great Dictator and get them to have a sing-along.
What's the name of that book?
The book's going to be called The Importance of Happiness, Noel Coward and the Actors' Orphanage.
Wow, okay. Definitely.
Because he always said the happiness of the children. He talks about the importance of happiness. That's a pretty neat title. And it's really it's a bit corny in a way, but I thought this is a time to write something that's not cynical. It's just about people doing good, about altruism. And I want to write that. I want to write something positive and nice and interesting history.
On a different note, I used to have a business card that read Daniel Frick, actor, writer, comedian, Coward.
Okay.
So I put Coward. The Coward was my last ability, and people would be like, "Oh, I need a good coward," and I'd be like, "I don't know about that."
I think most people are cowards, and we just pretend not to be. But
oh God, imagine me and you being put into war like Vietnam or Korea. Is that real?
I'll look after the tent. I'll make tea for everyone if you can go out and do the other
You guys
stuff.
come back. How many teas should I have ready?
I'll do this job. Cookies. I'll learn how to make cookies in the jungle.
And then when they come back, you've made so many cookies and you have 10 coffees, but only 3 of them made it back. So, like, what?
I'll drink the rest.
This is awkward. I've got all this leftover coffee.
Oh my God! I've always wondered that. Having lost ancestors in the big world wars and doing the family tree recently. And I thought I would have to be a conscientious objector. I would not be able to. But then I watched a film with, I think it was Daniel Radcliffe a few years ago, playing Rudyard Kipling's son, Jack Kipling.
Yes.
And you got the sense that this is, you have to fight for your way of life, and somehow you find the courage. And I think, oh, maybe that would kick in. In those extreme circumstances, maybe that would kick in.
Right. When you have to do something about what's in front of you, you have to do it. But you and I are going to do our best to not allow ourselves to get into that situation.
Get into that feeling in the first place, you know, yeah.
We would both pull clingers. I would pull a clinger. Be like, I'm crazy. I'll dress like a woman all day. I'll just, you know,
He did that. Klinger did that for 11 seasons, didn't he? That was
He did, and it wasn't actually originally in the character. They weren't supposed to do that. It wasn't the original, but then they changed it, and yeah. Anyway, Elliot, I do have to close the interview out. It was really nice talking with you, and I'm really appreciative that you did this. I love getting someone from the other side of the country and their perspective. I mean, the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Another country on the other side of the world. So the pond, as everyone calls it.
Yes.
Yeah. A stone's throw over the pond. So yeah, thanks, Elliot. Thanks for coming in, and looking forward to your book and everything.
Oh yes, sorry for plugging that shamelessly. I enjoyed it. Nice to see you, old chap.
I wanted you to plug yourself. That's part of why we do.
Oh well, you know, being British, you have to be sort of self-deprecating and apologetic at all times. Otherwise, they take your citizenship away. They make you Belgian, and no one wants that.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to America. This is D.B. Frick. I'm here with a very special friend today. I've known her for a few years. I met her at a cabaret show that she was doing, I believe, at the Manhattan Theater. The Manhattan Theater? I forget the name, and she'll probably remember better. I forgot the name of the Manhattan Theater Club. I think that was it. No, that wasn't it. Okay, and we did a little work together for the National Lampoon, some characters. She does a Melania Trump that's hilarious. She's got some songs out there from Melania that she wrote with, I think, James Lim. And we'll get this all back together once we introduce her. My very good friend Melinda Hughes from Barbados right now. She's stuck in Barbados, by the way. So thanks for coming in. Glad to see you, Melinda. How are you? How you doing?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm stranded in paradise. You know, what could be better?
Yeah, you showed me that view down the road, and it was amazing.
Yeah, palm trees, swimming pool. It's amazing. But it was scary for a time. Right. But it's very been a completely surreal experience.
What was it that first got you to step on stage, or do you remember the first time you were on stage, or what made you want that?
It's a tricky one. I mean, it was, gosh. I mean, I think it's probably school. I mean, my family's my dad's a film director and started as an actor and loved music. I think when I was very little, I was always the main role in the school play, or took the lead of the choir or the solo at Christmas time in church, and it just grew from there. And it was just, I was always encouraged to do it, and I always had good teachers at school, and we had a strong arts faculty, and it just grew from there. And it wasn't until I was studying for my A-levels at about 17 that I wanted to be an opera singer. I was going to go to university and do Italian history of art, and I ended up doing opera, and I did that for quite a few years.
So you actually have a master's in opera?
Yeah, I have I studied in Maastricht in Holland, and I've got something called an Uitvoerende Musicalis with honours, which is the performance diploma, and then I did a postgrad at the Royal College of Music in London.
What inspired you to start doing satire? What made you? Who inspired and what inspired you to do
why? It's Weimar cabaret from the 30s, I think, is my main inspiration. And I always loved that era. I loved jazz before I was going into opera. So, you know, my musical tastes have always been really broad. I would say, I mean, Kurt Weill is someone who I adore as a composer, and he, together with Brecht, were very vocal against what was happening politically, and music and comedy seem to be the last bastions of protest, where nothing else really works. You know, in the 30s, before Hitler came to power, or while he was coming to power, you know, you can close a printing press, you can burn the books, but this was really the last bastion, and there was some beautiful music around, which was very poignant, and still today, songs are still being sung. And in fact, that's what I did in New York when I did my show at the Metropolitan Room.
Metropolitan Room, right?
Yeah, which is closed now, sadly.
Story, yes.
But I went from opera into cabaret and political satire, and then of course comedy, because as an opera singer, I was doing very well, doing a lot of roles and traveling around the world. And then I prolapsed a disc in my neck in 2005, and it completely shattered my career. I was in a lot of pain, and I had depression. And of course, like anyone with depression, you just naturally go into comedy. So
there's a truth in that.
So I had to keep being creative and keep forging, and I couldn't not do what's in my blood and is my life force, you know, so just change tack.
Well, that's beautiful. Your as you mentioned before, your dad is your father was Ken Hughes, very well-known director, directed some really important movies like Cromwell, which is kind of incredible, and I mean, he directed Alec Guinness. That's like just blows my mind. That's a pretty cool thing. But one of my favorite movies is Casino Royale, and there's stories about certain movies like The Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind went through 2 directors. That happens. A director gets fired. You get a second director, maybe a third, maybe. But then there's a movie called Casino Royale, which has one of the greatest casts in the history of film, with Peter Sellers, David Niven, Woody Allen. Go on with the names that are in this movie.
Yeah.
There were 6 directors for this movie, Casino Royale, which was a parody of James Bond, and the parody of the movie Casino Royale. Also, they did a remake of it in like 2012 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But do you have any idea why there were so many directors on that?
I have no idea. It probably was cursed. The one explanation could be is that it was the one film that was not owned by Ian Productions, so it was not in control of the Bond kind of
right
umbrella of copyright. So it was, I don't know, it seemed to be like a disaster, a poison chalice. And I think my dad was possibly the last director or penultimate director to take it on. You know, like, here, Ken, fix this. And I don't know. I haven't seen it for ages. So, but there, yeah, it is.
Yeah, I thought that, yeah, that's a little bit of cool insight.
Could be. Yeah. And he was crazy about Oscar. So, and then when I was going through the scripts and the lyrics, it was very dated. And you're talking about a time I went and I visited him a lot. He took me to the premiere of Hair, which he didn't quite realize what it was going to be. And, you know, in like 78, 79, I don't know exactly when it was, everything changed in America. Filmmaking changed, directorship, it became raw. You know, you had Vietnam, you had, I mean, I'm not such a historian on these facts, but I just know that all the sort of the idyllic way of filmmaking was out the window, and it all changed. And he was of a certain era, and reading through these scripts and these lyrics, it was just so innocent and lovely. And he was an intellectual, and he stood by this, and I don't think he could quite cope with what was happening. And cope is not the word, but I just thought it was alien to him. And there I was, a little girl being taken to the premiere of Hair, and there's a naked man dancing on the table, and he's like putting his hand over my face and trying to drag me out of the cinema so that I'm not kind of like sullied by this
Right.
awful image, and
Oh,
he was
God,
appalled. He was
Yeah.
appalled by what happened, and he was already in his 60s.
So you, a few years ago, and this is coming up on 4 years now, that you've been doing the Melania's Diary
Oh yeah.
on Twitter, which has gained more traction than I've ever gained for myself on Twitter. I think it has more followers than you might have on Twitter yourself. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I know that I have less than.
Oh, babe. Listen, this was something we came up with together. I'm not working it hard enough because I've got so many other.
I sort of stopped too. I mean, you still do. You still do write
now and then.
jokes.
And I love your feedback, and I love the fact that this came from our meeting,
Our conversation, yeah. No,
yeah,
it's cool.
and it really was something that came really at the same time about, I'd love to do this, I'd love to work with you, and the excitement of to feel that I'm working internationally with a comedian in New York.
Yeah.
Is, that's a thrill, and we did some good stuff together, and I kind of miss that. So
yeah, we got to pitch some stuff when we were doing stuff for the National Lampoon and Tony Hendra. We got to do pitch a few sketches, and
they took some.
Yeah, no, they did. They took all the Melania,
and they stole some too.
Yeah, they did. I have to be honest about these things. But yeah, Tony definitely, he did it. And I guess because I was writing for something that was his, and it was like I pitched it to him, he can just do whatever he wants. But it's like when I just see a video made from something that I pitched this guy who's like one of the most well-known.
Yeah, welcome to comedy.
And it's like, you can't I would have liked to have been on set. If you need me to keep my mouth shut, tell me to keep my mouth shut. And I won't say anything while you're directing. I get it. But, I should have been part of it. And it is too bad how that turned out.
It's upsetting.
But he has ALS now. He's wheelchair bound and riddled probably for.
Oh, I thought it was a TV program. Oh, he has a syndrome. What is ALS? It was like SNL.
No.
Sorry, I shouldn't joke about illness.
No, I'm not gonna make fun. That's you're not making fun of him. That's not it. But yeah, it's sad. It's a sad. It's a sad way to go. But whatever.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. But the stuff that we did was funny. That was fun. Yeah, we need to do more of that. I like doing stuff internationally, and that's always been a great gift from the last few years of just having the opportunity to be able to do that with you here and there. And I still see there are so many tweets. I still see that could be a book. That can just be a book.
Oh, the diary. Oh, I went to the Edinburgh Fringe last year, and I did Melania's diary, and we updated it every 2 days.
That's awesome.
And it was stressful because it was okay. I could write it and I could read it from my diary.
Yes, of course.
And it was, but to have that freshness in a cabaret show where there's musical set numbers, which is all very structured, and you're doing a show every day at the biggest international festival in the world, but to have something, that's really on the edge as a proper stand-up comedian. If you're doing satire and you can be as current as you possibly can,
I almost have to be, especially with this stuff.
Yeah, from the news that morning about what's happened with Trump, or it was during the time he said he wanted to buy Greenland or something, and there were all these things happening in the news. I know it's like he was the gift that kept on giving. And if I could do a joke that was current from that morning in her diary, I mean, it got the biggest laugh, because it's a laugh of it's a belly laugh, but it's also I've read the news this morning. I'm so intellectual. So you got that too.
Writing a book is the adventure of a lifetime. Red Penguin Books take pride in giving our authors a publishing experience that is stress-free and celebratory all the way. Some of our authors first approach us with no more than an idea for a book that's ready to sprout. Others submit completed manuscripts. Whether you're at either end or anywhere in between, our goal is to get you published. At Red Penguin Books, we offer options and opportunities that are unique in the world of publishing and all of them are designed to keep you, the author we so deeply respect, in the driver's seat, unlike other publishing houses. So, if you want to write a book and are looking for a publisher, we've got you covered. Red Penguin Books deal in publishing services, book development, and ghostwriting for digital, print, and audiobook. Call us at 516-448-4993 or visit our website www.redpenguinbooks.com.
I have a theory that the only way that Broadway can come back is with one-person shows. I don't think that there can be big casts.
Yeah, you're right.
If the problem is as big as it is said to be. I don't know that, like, you could probably, can you do a show that nobody would get corona?
I could do one woman show, and they've got to be people who do one person shows, people who also can control their spitting as well, I think.
Right, that's a hard thing with actors. That was actually one of my first thoughts was.
Yeah, so I could perhaps do a show that didn't have any consonants in it. Perhaps just a show of vowels. That could work.
Maybe if we learn some Middle Eastern languages.
No, Middle Eastern's got a lot of.
They have a lot of vowels.
Other things to watch out for are the Dutch. They put a lot of in there.
They do. But I have to say, if I could live anywhere.
Galaxy S9.
I don't know why my electric randomly goes off. At least twice a day.
No, I could definitely do I'll definitely do a one-woman show. I've got a lot of material.
But I think that would make sense. I mean, I don't know how an audience takes an hour. Like, do you do Melania for an hour and a half?
No, people would get so bored.
Right. I think it would be hard to do that. So how do you change that into like a 3-act structure where it's different visually for the audience each time, and then it actually works probably?
Well, you pepper you have a journey of your show. You do some songs. You talk a bit about what's going on in the news, and there's audience interaction. Everyone loves that. And then the Melania Diary music that I used was from a very famous radio show that we had in England, which was a sort of the phone-in with your sad story that you wanted to air, why your wife left you, or your dog died or whatever, and it would go do 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 do, and it was called his song or her song or something. And that music, when the music came in, and all you need is a nice lighting state, and you transform into Melania, and then they'll say, "Dear Daddy," and then you're in, and then the music finishes, and then there's a lighting state, and you're back in the room. But it was so much fun doing that. It was so much fun. It's the only impersonation I can do. I'm not really good at anything else.
Are you working on anything?
Oh yeah, I am. Oh yeah, I'm actually glad you asked that. During lockdown, I got emergency passes from the government to film various singers here, and I did a song. I produced a song called "Beautiful Barbados," which was just basically a morale booster for the island. And it kind of did really well online, and everyone was. I became a bit of a little hero of the island, like thank you, because people who were. We needed something like that, and people were down. So and along comes this English girl and sort of corrals everyone, and I got a lot of Asian artists who normally wouldn't be free to do something like this, and they're all here too. They should have been touring, doing concerts. And off the back of that, and that was taken by the Barbados tourist industry. And off the back of that, I've been asked to do something else. So I wrote a song which is a bit more groovy, and I've got all like really famous Barbadian artists singing in it, and it's a real plug for Barbados, and it's really exciting. We've not had a COVID case here in more than 45 days, so there was a big beach party last week which we used for the filming of the song, and it was like we're dancing on the decks of the Titanic.
That's awesome.
Before the flights open up again, where
you're a celebrated sort of. You should run for office there.
Oh, I love this island. I mean, there are things overhanging from the previous government, which was quite corrupt, which needs to be troubleshooted. But the new prime minister here is amazing. She's head of CARICOM, and she's at the UN a lot. And she's a powerhouse, an absolute powerhouse. And we are very blessed to have her. And she's very cultured too. It's cool.
Great. So I'm not surprised that you would be doing stuff. You would not let yourself not do anything.
Exactly.
Not your personality.
But it's okay. I think it's also okay not to. It's been overwhelming. And for the creatives who think a lot and who are emotional and who are sensitive, if you didn't do anything, I would say it's okay, because the first month was so exhausting. I was exhausted from the stress. Your brain is coping and processing all this information that's happening. And if you are in any way creative, you will be prone to depression, and people who are depressed will always be very heavily affected by external global events. And, it's okay to not have done anything. I'm telling you now, I feel okay that I feel okay. Melinda, I really appreciate you talking to me today. It was awesome. It's lovely to speak to you and to see you again, DB. It really is. I've missed you so much. And as soon as Trump is out, I will be back. Yeah, no, I know. I understand. We'll do our best in 105 days, something like that. We all vote. Please. I'll actually be working the polls that day. I'll be working the polls that day. Oh, good for you. Good for you. Good for you. One day of the year that I work for the government. Yeah. We'll see each other soon, I hope, in New York or London or Barbados or one of the many other places that there are in the world. You're great. You're one of my favorite people. So thanks for chatting today. And lots and lots of love, my darling. Thank you.
The time is now. We've been apart so long. As the sun climbs high, I know where we belong.
The time is now. The sea is glistening. Hear your island awaits. When are you visiting?
Barbados, Barbados, my island in the sun. Barbados, Barbados, our time has just begun.
Barbados, Barbados, we're gonna have some fun. Barbados, Barbados, the time is now for us to find a way. So let me take you here, you'll see your brighter day.
The time is now. There is a path to tread, so put your hand in mine. We'll walk this road ahead. Barbados, Barbados, my island in the sun. Barbados, Barbados, we welcome everyone. Barbados, Barbados, we're gonna have some fun. Barbados, Barbados,
come together, come now, come together, feel the warmth. Come together, come now, come together, feel the warmth.
Barbados,
Come together, come now, come together, feel the warmth. Come together, come now, come together, feel the warmth. Come together, come now, come together, feel the warmth. Barbados, Barbados.